So welcome to the FFL Solidity team call. My name is Marisa Maggio. Today is October 27th of 2022, and we are officially going into week 1 of November. I'm so super excited for a new month. But without further ado, we do have a special guest on with us today. And as you guys know, each and every week, I really do try to think about, who can hop on and add value and in different places. And I think that is really important, because although this business can be simple at times, it's really simple in certain sectors, if you will. So Pauline, thank you so much for being on with us today. How's your day going?
It's going great.
Awesome. Good to hear. Awesome. And just to kind of jump right into things, I had the chance to meet Pauline when I was out in California. And, what I realized about you, Pauline, just in that short time was you were quick to ask questions, which I always respect, because I think that people who ask questions are the people who are going to get the answers, right? And also that you were just a student of the business, even though in that room you were writing at a higher level than a lot of people. So I respect the heck out of that. And I know you're crushing it then, you're doing your thing now. I see your name out there everywhere each and every week. So super proud to see that. But without further ado, Pauline, if you don't mind, just a quick introduction about kind of who you are, what you were doing before Family First Life, and what got you into Family First Life.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys again for having me on. My name's Pauline. I'm 24 years old. I was born in Fresno, California. And before FFL, I was actually a full-time student. I was going to school pursuing a career in the medical field. I wanted to be a physician assistant just because I love helping other people. And I was also working part-time at Costco. So I did cashiering. I guess I did a little bit of sales. I used to be that girl that tried to get you to upgrade to the executive membership and get you to sign up for a credit card. I pushed cards. I did all the above. And I think what really made me want to make the switch to FFL was because once I found it, I realized that I could do everything that I was trying to do in the medical field, as far as like serving people in a meaningful way that would really make a true impact on their lives, minus all the school. And I could get there a lot quicker. And it wasn't just about me, but it was like, hey, I can actually do with this with a bunch of people that I want to see succeed as well, And then it's kind of like a loaded question. I also decided to get into this because I actually lost someone close to me, and it kind of made me realize the importance of life insurance in general. I actually lost my dad about a year ago from the month of October, yeah. And something that I always looked up to my dad, like he always taught us children to always like stay close to the church, have a strong faith. And he also wasn't a big talker, he was a very big doer. And I always saw him losing himself in the service of others, whether it be with our family or the church community, coworkers. He was always trying to give to other people. And he was also very humble in everything that he did. And you wouldn't know that he was as good as he was at a lot of these things. A lot of people were intimidated from him because he was a big, buff Samoan dude, but he's like the most gentle giant you could ever meet. And when I look at our core values here at Family First Life, a lot of what my dad instilled in us as children is like the core foundation here as a company. It's always about how can you serve others. And I love how our company is not afraid to share our faith. You always talk to Sean Mike. He's always like, I don't read nothing but the Bible. He's not afraid to say that. And we also talk about, always remaining humble and hungry. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go full time. I'm going to do this for dad. I'm going to make it happen. So that's kind of what brought me here.
Wow, what a packed story, to say the absolute least. And I'm sorry for your loss. My heart goes out to you. I know that losing a parent at any age is, difficult, but it also brings you to your why, and I think that that's really important. You actually hit on that. Like my heartstrings are really pulled right now in a positive light, because it's not only were you, in the medical field, medical background, so to say, and you wanted to help people, right? And you're like, I can still help people, but without the, the crazy bill at the end, right? And on my own time. And above that, I can, live out my dad's legacy, right? Of what he represented, like you said, he was giving, he was humble, and he was the gentlest and nicest person in the room, right? And he was there to help. So I love how you kind of tied that all together. And also you look at the values of the company. I think sometimes that's left out, right? It's like that matters, right? I've been in organizations where, you know, they don't care if, you know, you ate that day, you know, like they don't care, right? Like you're just a number. And what the core values do for me, Pauline, is they help me like realign myself and say like, okay, I'm here, I need to be here, right? Or I'm acting this way, I should be acting this way according to what I signed up for, right? So thank you for sharing that with us, because that will get you into the business for sure. Very similar to kind of how I came in. So thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
And Pauline, you know, coming in, it sounds like, you know, you were working hard in terms of you're in school, you were grinding. So it's not like doesn't seem like you were scared of hard work, right? But coming in, what were some of the non-negotiables that maybe you had to change, or that have helped you as you've kind of been growing within this business?
So some of the non-negotiables that I had to change, really, I think we can all relate to when we hear about this business and being able to be your own boss. A lot of us get excited because like, yeah, I get to work what I want, you know, when I feel like it. And I quickly realized that wasn't true. Like it is, but you also need to be very disciplined in your structure. So some of the non-negotiables that I had to create with myself were dialing by 7:30. I listened to a lot of Paul McLean podcasts, and he said any little edge that you can get on everyone else, just a little bit more, goes a long way. And as soon as I changed from dialing at 8 a.m. to 7:30 instead, it gave me a lot more confidence because I already got my practice in at 7:30. And I realized that I was actually booking 1 or 2 more appointments than I used to in that 7:30 to 8 gap. So that made a huge difference. That's a new non-negotiable. And then also protecting your dial days. I can't stress how important that is. Before I used to just kind of, you know, whatever appointment I could book, sometimes I was running appointments on dial days. And if you guys are in person, I highly suggest that you don't do that anymore, because if you're not protecting your dial day, the rest of your week is kind of screwed. So always make sure that you're on the phones by 7:30 in the morning, 15 appointments every single dial day. And if you don't have that, always make sure that you're either teleselling or door knocking in between appointments. So those are some of the non-negotiables that I created for myself that I think made a huge difference in my activity and my production.
Awesome. And those are huge. So dialing by 7:30, it gives you that edge, and it also kind of gets like the jitters out, right, Pauline? Like,
Yeah.
You know, I know like my first dials that go out sometimes, you know, I'm like, hey, Pauline, like, you know, I'm like, shoot, I would have hung up on myself, right? So it kind of gets the jitters out, but it also kind of gets like, for me, like the raspy voice out, and kind of just the confidence up, right? So, and then you look at the clock and it's still 7:55 and you're like, well, I was supposed to start in 5 minutes, but I already started and I already got some appointments on the books. So again, that edge, right? And you talked about this, and this is something that I see like all too often and I used to do it too, like guilty as charged, by the way. If you're in the field, you have to protect Monday and Thursday. It just has to be a non-negotiable. Like those 2 days for you, like they're blocked off. Like you cannot go anywhere on those days unless it's planned, obviously, but that's how you have to think about it in your brain. Pauline, have you ever ran an appointment and you were like, it's going to be a lay down, like on a dial day, and then you go to the appointment and like, that's not necessarily what it looks like?
Exactly. Yep. Especially early on. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, there's been times I've driven like 2 hours out to somewhere and I'm like, oh, they're definitely going to be home there. They're a lay down, slam dunk. And then I just took 2 hours to get there. They no show me. I'm getting back in the car 2 hours. I just wasted my whole day. Right. So don't do that. I thank you for bringing that up. That's huge. And then the 15 appointments, or to be doing door knocks or telesales in between. I like how you added telesales, like, because you're basically saying like, hey, just because I don't have an appointment right now and I'm a field agent, I'm running in the field, right, predominantly, it doesn't mean that I don't have access to try to be able to help a family, right? So you're picking the phone up, or you're a high activity door knocking, trying to get in the home and help that family. Love it. And then tell us a little bit about your lead flow? Like, do you mainly work a certain lead type? Do you diversify? What does that look like in terms of type or sources?
Yeah, so my lead flow, like right now and from the beginning, it's always been CRM. I work a lot of different CRM leads, but my favorite have been the new internet and the instance with beneficiaries, just because I think that it's easier for them to recall doing it. So you don't get a whole lot of, I don't remember doing that. It's you'll get a different array, but everything in the CRM is all game for me. I'll work any kind of CRM lead. I've also dabbled into a little bit of Hall of Fame leads. Those are strictly mortgage protection. And I actually had a lot of success with those. And to be honest, I'm not sure why I stopped it, but I definitely need to get back onto it. I found that Hall of Fame leads, if you guys don't know what that is yet, like I said, they're mainly mortgage protection. And a lot of these people, when you call, they know exactly what you're talking about, because I've ran in face-to-face appointments. And when I've ran these appointments, they don't even have furniture in their home yet. They're literally brand freaking new. So those are like the two that I've dabbled in. I haven't really tried a whole lot else other than Smart Financial, but I'm experimenting with those right now. And as far as lead flow goes, sorry, I always spend anywhere between $700 to $1,000 every single week. So I forgot to touch on that, because when I was new here, I didn't really consistently invest in leads. And it wasn't until I went to convention where I heard it over and over and over and over again. Something that I've been hearing over these Zooms and on podcasts and YouTube videos. But it wasn't until I got to convention where I could see these people with my own two eyes and knew that I could touch them and feel them, they were real, and was like, damn, I'm tired of hearing that. Like, I'm just gonna freaking finally do it. And once I did, lo and behold, I hit 20K. And I was like, dang, that's the only difference I made. I did everything the exact same. The only thing is I consistently invested in leads. And I was like, okay, these people, they're not magical. They're not they're not doing anything special. They're literally just following the system. So
Love that. And that's huge. And thanks for hitting on that too, because when we're brand new, it can be intimidating to invest, $100 into leads. But what I always like to say is, if you consistently do something in this business each and every week, you should only have to invest one time and play with the house's money, if you will. And I think it's really important to note that Pauline's helping well over 20 families each and every month, working all CRM leads. So it's like, is it possible? 150%. Pauline just said, what did I do? I up my lead spend. And she said, I got sick of hearing it, right? And to be quite frank, Pauline, that's how my production went from 20 families a month to 50 families a month, right? All I did was up my lead spend, and then everything else just went up with it. And it's kind of crazy how that works, because it's almost like you're like, oh no, that doesn't make sense, or I might not feel comfortable or ready to do that. And when you feel that way, that might be the exact moment that you have to do it and execute, right? I love that you said, though, at annual convention, you were like, you know what? I've heard this one too many times. I'm doing it, like, game over. So you left there with a plan, right?
mhm.
And that's huge. And in terms of working all CRM leads, I think that's something to hit on too, Pauline, in the essence of, you talked about the new and the instance with beneficiary. And that's mainly what you're working, right? So it's like, there's not a secret sauce that got you to helping over 20 families a month. The secret sauce was you investing more into the leads, right?
That's
And,
it.
and Pauline said, I did everything else the same exact way. My in-home didn't change. The time I got on the phone didn't change, but probably you were able to book your schedule a lot faster. You probably felt more confident because you had more appointments, right?
Mhm.
And that's huge. So thank you for that, Pauline. And in terms of leads, guys, it's like, if you're having an issue with the lead type that you're working, like, this is what I do. And like, I'm not even being silly, like, till this day, guys. And like, I'm just going to call myself out on this call. For example, okay, guys, we have the standing lead order in the CRM now that you can have the leads come in certain counties and ABC. I'm like, okay, I got to work this because I need to, be able to help other people work this and prove that it does work, right? And in doing that, Pauline, it had been a little bit since I worked a lead like that. So what did I do? I went on YouTube, right? And I literally typed in calling on standing lead order, internet leads, Family First Life. And like 20 videos popped up. Now this just came out, guys. Like it just came out. My point is everything is out there. You got to just be willing to find it or reach out to somebody who's doing it or whatever it might be. But guys, the content that, like Pauline said, she came in on the essence of, I like what the company stands by. I like how the company puts everything out there. I like how the company doesn't hold things back. The company is who the company is, right? And let's take advantage of that, right? It's like, if you're dialing on leads and you're getting the same objection and you're not reaching to your left or right, or going on YouTube, like you got to do it, right? Like as much as your manager can tell you that whenever somebody tells them they're not interested, they say, that's exactly why I'm calling. I'm not interested either. It's simply my job to get the information out. What time's better, 3 or 5? That might not work for you, but it might work for me. You have to find your style. So just thank you for bringing that up. And I love how you hit on also, like, you're like, you know what, I started with those Hall of Fame leads, which are great. I should hop back on them. But you're saying I don't need those to help over 20 families a month.
Yeah.
Love it. I know I kind of just tangent there, so sorry about that, guys, but it is a huge misconception. So, and leading with that, what's one misconception you maybe had, coming into the industry, Pauline, that maybe you were able to prove yourself wrong, or maybe you proved yourself right if it was a positive?
One of the big misconceptions, probably a lot of people might have too, especially if you're new, and it's probably what keeps a lot of us from reaching out and asking for help. I used to think that all these top producers that I saw on the stage and on these YouTube videos were probably kind of snobby. They didn't really care. They have all this money. They don't have time for me. They're not going to help me. Who am I? But I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna try. Like if they say no, whatever. I don't know you anyways, and you move on, right? But man, like some of the people that I've reached out to, like that everyone like holds on a pedestal, they are so humble and they are so genuine, and they genuinely really do want to see everybody win. And that's probably why they're at the top, because they have if you guys are scared, like, oh, I don't want to talk to Nina, I don't want to talk to Erica Walker, they're probably don't have time for me, they're so way up there, I'm only getting 10 a month. I promise you that is not true. That is probably the biggest lie you could tell yourself. And that's not just me reaching out to them on social media, but I went to convention. That's why, like, I know everybody stresses convention. You guys are probably thinking, oh, they're just hyping it, they just want us to go. No, like I went, and I can testify to you, like it really is life-changing to be able to, meet these people, shake their hand, and really know, like, oh, this girl is real. She is really nice, and she is more than willing to help me. I walked up to Erica Walker, was like, hey, girl, you're crushing it on telesales. I'm trying to get like you. Like, what are you doing? She's like, yeah, like, let's come over here. Let's talk for a minute. And then I asked her a couple questions. She was like, yeah, take my phone number. If you ever need anything else, just hit me up. And she was so sweet. So like, there's a ton of other people I could name, but like, if that's what your thought is, I'm gonna tell you right now, throw it out, because it's not true. And reach out. Now, I don't care how high they are. Steve Giordano, super sweet guy. I shake hands with him too. I hit him up, not as much, but man, everybody's in your corner here. It's not like, oh, you're on FFL Solidity. No, I don't want to help you. No, it's everybody. And they'll take time. They'll actually hop on a one-on-one call with you and be like, hey, yeah, what are you struggling with? This is what I do. But you need to respect their time and get what you need, like, quickly. They're not going to be on an hour phone call with you, but they'll make time for you if you just ask.
Absolutely. And I think that that's huge. Like, just ask, right?
Yeah.
In the essence of like, okay, you hit on convention quite a few times, which I think it was almost coincidental, to be honest with you. But talk to people, right? It's like sometimes you'll be like, oh, I know you're so busy, but it's like, we're all so busy. Like, call me, please. Like, I know you, or I don't want to go up to Paul and say hi. It's like, you're a part of his team. Why not go up and say hello, right? And even just like you're saying, like Erica Walker, just as an example, killing it on telesales. It's like, you went up to her and said, hey, like, you're killing it, Erica, like, keep crushing it. I'm trying to get like that. And she was like, hey, hop over here for a second, right? Like, let's talk about it, right? So everyone's willing to kind of share and essentially like dive in, right? And like you said, though, Pauline, I love how you literally hit on like, do not waste their time. Like, if you're calling someone, you're calling them with like 3 direct questions. They're answering them very directly. You might elaborate a little bit, but you're on and off the phone in 5 minutes, right? But now you have new information. And when you get that new information, Pauline, and you actually are implementing it, and that person might see it, might not see it, but they're more likely to want to talk to you if you're actually implementing what you said you needed help with, right? And that's huge. That's huge. So also though, hit on convention really quickly. When did you come into the business? Just to kind of take a step back.
I came into the business last year of August, but I wasn't really writing business for like the first 5 months. I was just kind of like, I'll write a policy a month or two and, you know, whatever. And, and then I decided to go full time in December of last year. Or no, November of last year. November of last year, I decided to go full time because that was after I lost my dad in October. So I was like, oh, you know, like this is real. I just need to like, what is it that's stopping me from hitting my goals? And it was that I was putting a lot of time into a job that I wasn't happy at. And it was pulling away from what I knew I would get more out of. And then when I went to convention as well, it just kind of woke me up and lit a different kind of fire. Because it's like these people, as awesome as they are, they're not special. They don't have anything that I don't have. They're just doing things that I'm not implementing because I haven't created that discipline for myself, or I haven't opened my mouth and asked, what are you doing? Like they say, like open mouths don't get fed. So just ask. The answers are there, but if you don't ask, like good luck. You're just going to prolong your struggling. So just get it out the way and get to work.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned, you know, kind of November was when you went, you know, kind of more hands-on or more into the business. So you're about a year in now, which is awesome and amazing to see. So great accomplishments, by the way, Pauline, seriously, in your first year. Absolutely. But also just realizing like you came into the business and you said like, I'm going to write a policy here, there, you know, I might just do this, you know, part-time sometimes, you know, however you want to call it. Right. But essentially when you had that loss, I can only imagine how it impacted you. But on top of it, after that, you were able to go to convention 2 months later and you took some advice from there. And would you say like coming out of convention, you left with a different mindset or a growth mindset, or what do you feel like that kind of looked like?
I think when you go to convention, it's really the belief in yourself that is fueled, because you're not hearing anything different on these calls, but the belief is different because you're seeing all these top producers on stage together and you're in the same room that they are, and you get to actually go up and, like I said, shake hands with them, talk to them one-on-one, get their direct phone number. And it's like, dang, like I have all the resources I need, but the question is, are you going to actually utilize them? And are you going to actually implement it into what you're trying to do here? You know, so it's like, man, like why wouldn't you? Like, there's just no reason this can't work unless you, number one, aren't willing to put in the work ethic, or probably number two, your mind's in a different place. Because I can tell you, it doesn't matter how many resources and how much questions you ask. If you don't actually believe you can do it, you're not going to do it. That's just facts. If you believe you can do it, you're going to find ways to make it happen because you already know you can. It's just a matter of when. And that's what convention gives you, is that belief in yourself and in the system and in the support that you have here to get to where you're trying to go.
Absolutely. And that's huge. You know, I always say about convention, you know, I say I go for me. And like, I love everybody on this call, but I go for me because I know I'm going to take something out of it. I know it's going to revamp my belief at some level. It's going to revamp and reinstill my thought process, right? So the belief in yourself, like you said, if you don't believe in yourself, you already lost 90% of the battle here. But if you can get instilled belief and get invigorated and get excited about this and realize, like Paulene said, no one is magical. Like no top producer, no top work, like no one's magical. We're all just regular beings out here. And all we're trying to do is replicate what somebody already did. And they're giving us all of the tools, but we just have to work around them. We have to take the tool and plug it in. We have to take the tool and plug it in. But if you aren't finding the tool, you can't plug it in, right? And the system is there. But guys, like Pauline's saying, like, take this time before convention to intentionally make a list of who do you want to talk to, right? Like, who do you want to talk to there and why? What are you going to ask them? It doesn't have to be this crazy intricate question. It could be like, what's your lead flow, right? Like I asked Steve G, what's your lead flow the first time I met, you know what I mean? Now we have a great relationship, you know? So it's like, it doesn't have to be this crazy question. It just needs to be a question that's going to make sense and that you're ready to act on. So appreciate that. And then why do you, you know, you really kind of hit on this a lot, but why do you really believe in the opportunity here at Family First Life?
I believe in the opportunity just because I think it's no secret that there's nowhere else you can make this kind of impact and this kind of income without any kind of experience or degree required. And also, I don't think there's any other company out there where you can have the kind of support that we have. Like in business, people will take years to turn a profit because not only are they going into it alone, but they just don't have the system that we have. But like I said, going to convention and seeing all these people do it. Heck, take Michael Scanlan. The kid was like 19, did almost 700K his first year. Like a lot of us, like we're a lot older than 19. If this 19-year-old kid could do it, and so can all these other 20-somethings, Nina, you know, Hayden, Alondra, Josh, they're in their early 20s already integrity partners, you know, like what is the difference between you and them? There's nothing. It's just your mindset. And there's just nowhere else you can see that happen. And if everyone else is doing it, why can't you? Why not? That's really that. There's just no reason you can't do it unless you're not working. Because all this takes is hard work. And all it takes is hard work, consistency, and a heart to serve. And I love that because growing up, I was always like, I'm not the smartest in my class. I don't know this, but you know what? I always find a way to figure it out. I'm that girl in the math lab. I'll be in there for like 6 hours a day. Like, okay, try again. Let me do this on myself. Okay, did I get it? Yeah, you got it. Okay. But it takes a lot of work. And if you're willing to go seek those answers out and put in the work and have good intentions and a heart to serve, you can't lose here. So if that's you, this is the place to be. If you don't like people, you don't like to work, just leave. It's not for you. And that's okay.
And that is okay, literally. And that is okay because, and I love that, you know, you talked about the impact you're making on people, also the income, the support, and above that, what it takes. You're saying, I have what it takes. I can work hard. I can be, you know, consistent with the schedule. I can be diligent and follow through, and I can solve problems when necessary, right? That's all we're doing. We're solving a problem with a client. We're solving a problem with an agent, a problem, if you will, right? When we're having a conversation with an agent, with a client, right? And we're plugging in the solution. So I love how you said that, Pauline. You're like, I'm the person who'll be in the math lab for eight hours trying to problem solve because I know that there's a way if there's already been a way, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you brought up, like, for example, Michael Salmon, you know, 19 years old, crushing it. And sometimes, you know, what I bring myself back to, and this is almost, you know, mental, just kind of how like I have mentally programmed myself, but it's like being 19, even versus being, you know, 29, let's just say, it's a big difference because the 19-year-old still has a lot of childlike belief, if you will, right? They might have less self-doubt. They might have more, but they might have less because they're younger. So they probably experience less situations where they lacked belief in themselves. And if we can all just realize that and say, like, all we need is essentially childlike faith, right? Knowing it's going to work as long as I do my part. Like, you're going to win here. So thank you for hitting on that. I think that you really drove home essentially why you want to be at Family First Life, how it's really impacted you, and also how you took it from, you know, here to here. And I respect that, because I think that in this business, it's healthy to move the needle up. And it's also healthy over time to see a little dip, but nothing crazy, right? Just little dips, but you're going up and up. And I think that healthy trend, and when I see that, like in people's production, it makes me excited, because it just shows me they got this much better at X skill, right? And good for them, because if you can get this much better, you can get this much better, right? You can get this much better. There's no prerequisites in terms of that. So love that. And just to kind of wrap up the call, Paulene, what are your goals to wrap up 2022?
Man, I have a lot of goals, and I'm like, they scare me, but I've been told that's a good thing. So I honestly really want to hit my logo by the end of the year. So I'm hoping I do. I have something special planned for that. And I really want to get every single one of my team members on the team to convention, because like I said, I can testify like how big of a difference it's made in my business and in my life, and the connections and relationships I've been able to build just by attending. So if I can give that to everyone else on my team, if I could just give them that opportunity and that little, you know, that extra faith and belief in themselves to come back home and implement everything that I took from it last year, I can only imagine what our team's going to look like next year, just because of that extra little fire that was lit in them from going to convention. So.
Absolutely. Well, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to hit logo before the end of the year, and be at senior sales manager, helping over 100 families a month. No doubt about it. And I love how you brought up, you know, your second goal is to get your group to convention. And it's because you saw what it did for you, and you know it can do that. It did that for everybody else that was there, right? So you're like, if I came back like this, just like anything else, why can't you come back like this, or you come back like this, or you, right? Whatever you need, it's going to be there. If you need belief, it's going to be there. If you need sales training, it's going to be there. You want to learn how to build a team, it's going to be there, right? So everything is there. So I'm super excited to see you at convention, Paulene, because I know you're definitely going to be there. I think everybody on this call is going to be there. And if you're not, you should probably check out after Paulene just shared her story, and I'm not even being mean. I love all of you guys, but convention is just a non-negotiable for me. So Paulene, without further ado, thank you so much for being on the call today. I really appreciate it. I know you added a ton of value. You hit on things that are extremely important. And sometimes we have to get back to those basic fundamentals. So thank you so much for being on with us today, Paulene.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It was an honor.